All right, week 10, crucial weeks to get the dubs, to make your way into the playoffs. Maybe you've already secured the dub. Maybe you're on the edge. Regardless, we're going to give you some start and sit advice for week 10, as well as those Hail Mary matchups. Let's get straight to it.
Welcome to the FantasyLand Football Podcast.
Okay, all right.
What up?
All right. It is a big day for the Fantasyland fam. I mean,
that's right.
If you like gaming, a PS5 officially dropped.
That's right.
And have you opened yours yet? Have you played around with yours just yet?
I actually haven't. Let's just be transparent with the people.
Okay, transparency.
I'm actually considering selling my PlayStation 5, reselling it.
Okay.
So I can build a PC. I still want the PlayStation 5. Obviously, I can get it later on down the road, but PC costs a lot more, and I can really flip this PlayStation if I'm being honest with everyone. I'm probably going to flip it, get a PC, and then I can still play with everyone, which is still great. So, win-win.
Yeah. And I think the PC is probably going to help out the pod as well. We got some live streams that we're planning for you.
That's right.
And PC is just better than Mac in that scenario. I love Mac, but hey, it is Thursday, the 12th of November. So glad that you would join us on the Fantasyland Football Podcast. I am Zach. This is Badaki. Lots of stuff to talk to. No time to waste.
What is going on here?
What is going on around the National Football League? Oh my goodness. There is tons and tons of news, and there will be tons of news after this is recorded as well. But let's tell you what we know right now, this need-to-know news. What we're going to do is we're going to give you some rapid-fire news, okay? Because there's so much. We could genuinely spend so much time on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so bye weeks. What you need to know is the Jets, Chiefs, Cowboys, and Falcons are on byes. Get those players out of your lineups. Now, here we go. Alshon Jeffrey, full participant at practice for the first time this season. Looks like he will probably play.
Huge.
Definitely a stash guy for you. David Johnson has that concussion. He is unlikely to play on Sunday. Duke Johnson season. Let's see what old Duke can handle.
Right.
Chris Carson. Duke's a great start, by the way. Chris Carson, his foot injury, still unsure if he will play this Sunday. Carlos Hyde is confirmed out. Is Chris Carson going to play quickly? Badaki, what do you think?
I personally don't think so. We will have to find out on Friday. Stay tuned.
Aaron Jones was a full participant in practice. Great news if you own him. Raheem Mostert wanted to play this week, really wanted to play apparently, but Mike Shanahan has ruled him as well as Tevin Coleman out. Means Jerick McKinnon and JaMychal Hasty will get the work, and good luck deciding, who to start in that scenario.
Yeah.
Kenyon Drake is back at practice today. Unsure if he will play, but this is great news for his status this week. Absolutely. If you had to take a guess, is he playing? Yes or no?
No.
All right. Sad news. Christian McCaffrey is officially ruled out for Week 10. However, he is not being shut down this season. Matt Rule said that's not really a conversation. He will be back. So don't stress. Just get into the playoffs, and CMC will probably carry you through it. Guys, there's tons and tons of news to talk about.
Yeah. Best
way for you to keep up with all of this news, because we're not going to be able to report on all of it today, is to follow us on our social media accounts. Instagram is at Fantasyland Football. Twitter is at Fantasyland_FB. On Twitter, we give tons of updates on injuries as well as game day alerts. You can watch the podcast on YouTube, subscribe and hit the notification button, and you can also listen to the podcast on any podcast platform in the world. Badaki, take us through the second half, guys. We are only done with one half of the need-to-know news. Badaki, what is the second half rapid-fire need-to-know news?
That's right. Look, Chris Godwin still has a pin in his fingers. He's doing pretty well, and should be out soon. Hopefully, he's good to go next week or for this Sunday. Joe Mixon working on the sideline with trainers. It's good. Still concerning, personally, for me. I personally don't think he'll play.
Yeah.
I think they'll rest him one more week. Justin Jackson also resting this week, which is very interesting.
We'll talk about that a little bit later as well.
Yeah, Anthony Lynn doesn't want to risk it. Antonio Gibson, your boy, Antonio,
No.
dealing with a shoulder injury.
He's a soldier.
Dealing with a shoulder injury. Listed as questionable. So keep an eye on that once again on Twitter, on Facebook, or not Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Nick Chubb. There's a Nick Chubb sighting here in Cleveland. Status to be determined Friday. Looking good. I think he'll play, personally.
Yeah. It feels like he is on track to play.
Yeah, McCole Harmon, not that big, but you should know lands on the COVID reserve list, and Baker Mayfield is active back from the COVID reserve list, so if you need a streamer, he could be a potential good streamer, but who knows? We'll talk about that more.
Yeah. I love it. That is all the need-to-know news, guys. Tons and tons of news, and make sure you're following us on those social media accounts to stay up to date. Hey, you can now support the show if you'd like to through Patreon. Patreon is a site that essentially allows you to support creators that you like, people that you believe in. And you can now support FantasyLand Football Podcast through Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/FantasyLandFam. If you head to our website, you'll be able to see 3 different tiers. And look, if you believe in the pod, if you believe in us, if you want to be part of this Fantasyland fam community, 3 really easy options. And when you actually choose those options, you get exclusive content back, exclusive fantasy football content, depending on the tier that you select. We'd love to have you part of the community. And honestly, just grateful for everyone who has been with us. This is our first season, and it's actually been so good. Hey, Badaki.
Yeah, it's been amazing. We love it. We love you guys. I'm sad football is coming down to an end, but I'm excited for next year already.
I'm excited for the offseason, too. Got some big things planned. All right, let's get into our main segment for today.
Excuse me, can I touch you for a minute? Excuse me, can I touch you for a minute?
Okay, start or sits for week 10. Big matchups. Big matchups this week. A lot of decisions you will have to make. What we try and do each week is we try and take 6 key matchups. 6 key matchups. Matchups that you probably have questions about.
Yeah.
So we try to avoid the obvious ones. For example, we could have covered the Seahawks today, but you probably know everyone that you're going to start on the Seahawks. So we try and find the matchups that you might have a lot of questions about, and we try and dissect those matchups for you. Hopefully, we're going to help you make some decisions that you have to make this week. But let's do our first start, sit, advice, matchups, Badaki, take it away with the first matchup.
2-6 Texans at the 5-3 Browns. I think this will be a great matchup personally. There's actually a lot of people that's surprisingly you kind of have to start here on the Texans side of the ball. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, Will Fuller, I think are your must starts for sure. Also, that's also on the must start list is Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks has been doing his thing. He has scored a touchdown in the last 3 out of 4 games. He's been getting over 10 fantasy points per game, PPR, mind you. So he's been getting the ball. He's been getting targeted. He's been, he was targeted 9 times in the past 3 games. That's pretty big for Brandon Cook, I think, especially in
9 times.
Yeah, 9
each
times
game.
Each game.
Wow. Okay, that is actually big.
Yeah. So it's coming to a point where Brandon Cooks is fully in swing in this offense, and it is looking good right now. So I think Brandon Cooks is also a must start here, especially against this Browns defense, which isn't really good.
No.
Duke Johnson, also a must start if David Johnson is out. I think he will have a great game. It's a great matchup here as well. I think you can start him with confidence.
Yeah.
Throw him in. See how you go.
Yeah. Duke's a good start this week. We've heard all of Duke's career. Who's going to give him an opportunity? And
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it works out. There's obviously risk there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a good start, but let's go on to the Brown side of the ball. Baker Mayfield off of the COVID reserve list. I'm personally not starting him. I think it could be a good start, a good streaming option, but there's still a lot more. There's still a lot better. So many more options. That you can start over Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I agree.
But
let me ask you this actually: Jared Goff or Baker Mayfield this week? Because Jared Goff's a big streaming quarterback this week for a lot of people actually.
Yeah. I'll be going Jared Goff.
Okay.
Yeah, Jared Goff. Obviously, you heard Nick Chubb. He's back at practice. We personally think he'll play. So if he starts, start him. I think you still have to start Kareem Hunt as well. He filled in this role for Chubb. He's been doing great. I think he had one bad game since Chubb's been out. You have to start Kareem Hunt.
What's weird about Kareem Hunt is when Chubb went down, there was this expectancy that, man,
you kind of expected him to get both points from you kind of expected him to get Chubb points and then his points, but that wasn't really the case. He kind of just stayed with his points. He might have been more efficient with Chubb on the field. Yeah, exactly. So it's really interesting.
So this isn't a bad thing.
No, not at all. I don't think so. I think Chubb and Hunt are both great starts here, especially against this Texans defense.
For sure.
Austin Hooper is also back. I think you should start him as well once again against this Texans defense. Pretty bad. He's currently tied at number 25. And the Texans...
He was on the waiver wire targets?
Yeah, he was in the waiver wire targets. You picked him up this past week?
I did pick him up. I picked him up before the waivers started. I think no one realized that he didn't play last week, and he was just ready to go.
Ready to go.
Anyone could have picked him up. Anyone could have picked him up, and just no one did it. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll give it a go.
So Austin Hooper, definitely starting him. But look, I think more questionable on the questionable side of the Browns ball here has to be the wide receivers. It's not really somebody that I think it's a good matchup. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not confident in starting them, and it's really just two: Jarvis Landry and Rashad Higgins. I think if I had to choose out of the one, probably lean more towards Jarvis. You still see him getting the ball. You saw him getting the ball last game. I'm just not confident in starting them at all.
You know what's crazy is Jarvis Landry against the Raiders last time they played Week 8. Jarvis Landry got 11 targets. 11 targets, but he only caught 4 passes. Yeah. I think that had a little bit to do with the weather. And I think what we will see in the next 2 to 3 weeks is what exactly this offense looks like with Chubb back, with Hunt resuming the pass-catching back role. And Landry could sneak him way into a decent flex most weeks. But you're right, there is still a lot of risk with that start, hey.
Just not confident in it. So I personally wouldn't be starting anyone besides the running backs and Austin Hooper, to be honest.
Yeah, I like it. All right, our second matchup is the 3-4-1 Philadelphia Eagles and the 2-7 New York Football Giants. All right, let's talk about the Eagles side of the ball. Obviously, this is a divisional game, which means anything can happen in these divisional games. Records don't really matter too much, and that's probably a good thing for both of these teams. But let's have a look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz. Here's the thing. Is Carson Wentz a decent start this week? Is he actually a decent start this week? Is this a... You would stream him over, probably over Jared Goff, for example, right?
I don't know if I would, purely because the Seahawks give the most points to fantasy quarterbacks, to fantasy wide receivers, I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, I think Carson Wentz is a good start. I think there's still a couple of people, ahead of him.
He's probably one of my favorite streamers this week, personally. And I want to remind everyone what he did to New York last time he played them. That was Week 7. Right. And he had 31 fantasy points. We have a 6-point touchdown league. 31 fantasy points. That's, if you could promise that in a stream, that's beautiful. Yeah. Obviously, we don't know if that's going to happen again. But I like Carson Wentz. I like him. He's getting a lot of weapons back, which we're going to talk about. Miles Sanders coming back. Looks like he will get the start. If he starts, you do start him, and you don't think about it. You absolutely have to start Miles Sanders.
Absolutely.
Travis Fulgham has been balling out this year. I think you also have to start Travis, but you also have to start Dallas Goedert as well. Coming off the bye week, his first game back was the week before the bye, and he only had 1 catch. But the thought behind that is that, coming back from injury, he wasn't really in the game plan just yet.
Right.
Do you expect Dallas Goedert to finish as a top 8 tight end this week?
No, I actually don't. I think
No?
I actually don't. I think if Alshon is back, Jalen Reagor is back, and all these people are in, Miles Sanders is back, I think he can get lost. He can get lost in this offense. And also, it's still really unclear if Zach Ertz is in what. I'm pretty sure it's been 3 weeks already since he's been hurt. He's been off. He's been
Yeah,
on
he won't
IR
be back
3 weeks.
though.
Yeah, so I think I have a really, really feeling that a report saying, well, surprise, Zach Ertz is back. I'm not starting him. I'm not
feeling it. I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, you could be right. You could absolutely be right.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll definitely see. We haven't heard much about him yet. I haven't heard any reports, but I'm just not confident starting Dallas Goedert right now.
You know what? We see very differently in both of these scenarios. I think you have to start Dallas Goedert if you have him. I think, to finish as a top 8 tight end is not actually that hard. He's probably got to get anywhere from 8 to 10 points to finish as a top 8 tight end. That tight end position is just the worst thing about fantasy football right now, unless you have Travis Kelce or Darren Waller. All right, questionable players. Who are the people I'm a little bit iffy about? Alshon Jeffrey would definitely be one of them. He was a full participant in practice, but I'm very much taking the wait-and-see approach. He's probably going to be a red zone target, but you can't really start him with any sort of confidence right now. However, Jalen Reagor, I am starting with a bit of confidence. I think he is a great flex play if you need someone this week. I am starting him myself in our fantasy football league, the Fellowship of the Fantasy Ring. Mm-hmm. I believe that he's a great flex play. I think he's going to be really involved into the game plan. He's a talented guy, and in his first game back, he did score a touchdown. I expect him to have a better fantasy game than the first game that he came back from, because I think he's going to get more targets. I think he's going to get a little bit more involved in the game. Over under 14 points for Jalen Reagor this week in your mind.
Under for me, yeah. We're seeing very different here. I think Alshon Jeffrey is going to have a great game personally. I think he's a top receiver when he's healthy. If he's healthy, he's great. He has a great chemistry with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, he likes to target him. It just really depends. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him all year, which is crazy to me.
For sure. I mean, I think we said the same thing about Deshaun Jackson, and this is my thought process. That didn't really work out for anyone. Yeah. So you need to, I think, have a wait-and-see approach on him. Yeah. We're giving you a lot of different opinions. Hopefully it's helping you.
Hopefully.
Let's talk about the New York Giants. Badaki's New York Football Giants.
That's right.
Evan Ingram is my only must-start on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Look, he's starting to get more consistent work. And the Eagles defense is currently the third worst defense against tight ends.
Yeah.
I believe Evan Ingram could have a really big day. I think he actually could have his best day of the year against this defense. Now, I'm not telling you you can't start any other player. I'm saying this is the only player I am confident in starting.
Right.
So I know you're going to say something about Sterling Shepard, but Sterling Shepard currently is dealing with a little bit of an injury. Mm-hmm. I believe it's to his toe. And
it's his toe.
It is. It's a toe and a hip injury. So what did I say actually on the podcast?
Yeah, you were just like, he can.
What did I say?
He's injury prone and he can, you're just scared. You expect him to do good and then boom, he's hurt.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I think it could be a good start.
Right.
It's either going to be a 15-point game or he's going to get maybe 0 to 3 points. That's the issue for me.
That's the problem right now with the Giants. Anyone can take off. One day is Darius Slayton, one day Sterling Shepard, one day it's somebody else, Wayne Gallman or something. So It just really depends. I think you're right. Evan Ingram is the for sure start here. Other than that, you can't really start anyone else. Obviously, you're not starting Daniel Jones. Obviously,
no.
You're just not
Jones.
starting anyone else. So it really depends. It all depends. Dante Pettis has been activated. I don't know how much he's going to be used. I'm not saying you should start him or even think about him, but maybe that affects Sterling Shepard. Maybe that affects Evan Ingram. Maybe that affects who knows?
Yeah,
who knows? I could love my New York Football Giants.
If only the Giants had a like an explosive wide receiver on their team, just like a generational talent
Oh my goodness! If
for
only
Daniel Jones to throw to. That would be crazy.
if only
right?
the Giants had probably one of the best running backs in the league, and
Wow.
maybe he didn't tear his ACL. I mean, wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Wow. Who knows what could have actually happened? You know, obviously, let's talk about the running back position here for the Giants. You're not starting anyone, right? I mean, like,
No.
who do you start? Because
Look,
if Freeman plays, what's the workload for Gallman, and
yeah,
how much is Freeman now getting the work? I just don't know that you could confidently start anyone
no,
in this backfield.
not at all. And I think that's the problem. I think, Wayne Gallman is pretty talented. I think he's a lot better than Devonta Freeman. Devonta Freeman is just that bigger back. He can punch it in. He can do those things. But Wayne Gallman, he's very versatile. He's light on his feet. He's very explosive. I think those are the things that Wayne Gallman brings to your team. I think his vision is a lot better than Devonta Freeman. I think if you had to choose one, and both of them are playing, I'm starting Wayne Gallman. It sounds crazy, but surely he's been utilized. You saw how great he was in the past.
He's definitely
couple
been
games.
utilized.
Yeah,
he
so-
has. But at the
I think
same
they will-
time, Devonta Freeman's not really been
That's right.
playing. And the Philadelphia Eagles are a really good run defense,
Mm.
currently 6th best in the league. So I think you might want to fade both of these guys. But
Absolutely.
Could be desperation plays at best.
All right. This is a huge game. I love this game personally. I'm going to be watching this game. The 7-2 Bills at the 5-3 Cardinals. I
Okay, talk it up, Josh Allen.
mean, there's so much
You
talent.
want to beat Russell Wilson, the MVP? Okay.
Honestly, he smacked Russell. He walked in, he's like, "Oh, Russell's coming."
Yeah.
Smack. That's what he did.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I've heard people calling him the Cowboy,
Oh,
obviously because of the connection to his college days. But
Josh Allen is a must start. Okay, Stephon
Yes.
Diggs is a must start. Okay, don't second guess it. There's really only the only person that's in a great area for me that I could be starting or I could be flexing, whatever the case may be. If you have him, is Zach Moss. I'm not really confident in starting him, but if you need him, once again, desperation play. David Johnson's out. All these things. I was gonna say David Johnson. I was gonna say Zach Moss or Duke Johnson, but Duke Johnson for sure.
yeah, because he's got the clear workload, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
look, I'm not really starting anyone else on this team. I'm not starting John Brown. I'm not starting Cole Beasley. I'm not starting Devin Singletary. These are the guys. Personally, I think you can drop Cole Beasley. Obviously, John Brown came back and probably had one of his best games of the year.
That's what I was going to say, actually. Out of that list, I think John Brown might be the best start, and there's tons of risk that comes with it.
Exactly.
John Brown didn't actually practice yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He comes back, and now he doesn't practice. It might be a Veterans Day off, though, just to kind of give him a little bit of rest. I like the matchup against Arizona because I think Arizona will put up points.
Right.
So I think John Brown could be a decent flex play amongst any of the options. If I had to choose one, I would probably use John Brown as a Hail Mary this week.
Yeah, I think that's a great fact. I think John Brown is a great Hail Mary option. He's not somebody that I'm confident in starting, but it's a perfect scenario, Hail Mary. But yeah, I think Cole Beasley you can drop. Devin Singletary, you're not dropping. You're still keeping him on your team just in case, but you're not starting him by any means. You don't want to start him by any means.
No,
for sure. I'll be starting Duke Johnson over Devin Singletary. Let's go to the Cardinals side of the ball here. Kyler Murray, once again, you are starting. D-Hop,
Okay.
you are starting. But there's a lot of questions about D-Hop. We got a lot of questions in the DM
which is interesting, isn't
this
it?
past
Yeah.
couple days. Should I be worried about D-Hop? I know you're a D-Hop owner. I want to know your opinions. But I know for me, it's clear. I think it's clear. Like he's starting to become. Once again, this is a pattern. We need consistency. Let me just stress that before I say anything else. We like to see consistency. We like to see things. We like patterns. So if D-Hop has a really bad game one, then he has a really good game, then he has a bad game again. That's a pattern. Okay, that's it's called boom or bust. But if D-Hop is getting 15 plus points every game, that's consistency. So right now that's kind of the the trend that D-Hop is kind of going at right now. And
Totally.
Kyler Murray is kind of spreading the ball around, especially Christian Kirk. He's coming up. Once again, sorry, are you concerned?
Am I concerned about DeAndre Hopkins? It's actually a really funny question because DeAndre Hopkins is currently the wide receiver 6 on the year.
Absolutely.
And let me remind you, he's already had his bye week. Okay. So that's going to hurt his stats a little bit compared to some of these other wide receivers. But Tyler Lockett is the wide receiver 5 on the year, right? So it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. But Tyler Lockett's wide receiver 5. Here's the difference. Tyler Lockett has put up games of 7 points, 8 points, 5 points. Tyler Lockett is kind of way more in that category of a boom or bust guy.
Right.
They don't really need Tyler Lockett to always go off. Now, I was talking to someone on Twitter about DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins only had 3 targets last week. That's just not good enough. That's bad coaching. I know that it was great defense, but if you have one of the top 3 wide receivers in the league, you're not game planning to get him targets, to get him involved. I feel like they could have won that game if they got the best wide receiver, some would say, involved. Obviously, there's 3 in that conversation, but regardless, no, I'm not worried about DeAndre Hopkins. I just want to remind people that he's won you more weeks than you can really complain about this guy. He's not like a Tyler Lockett, where you're like, oh, like he's boom or bust. No, DeAndre Hopkins has won you so many weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed at all about it.
I get it. And my thought process was because when I was seeing all these messages on Instagram, I was a bit concerned. So the first thing I did was looked at his schedule to see what was happening.
Yeah,
who he was going against. And I kind of broke it down. And the first half of his schedule was the strongest part of his schedule. So he played San Fran week 1, Washington, Detroit, Carolina, the Jets, Dallas, Seattle. Okay. I know Dallas is terrible. Seattle's terrible. The Jets is terrible. Detroit's terrible. He probably had the best matchups he probably had there was San Fran and Washington. And that's really it.
Yeah. Really.
And this is where the trend's starting to happen now. So now I see it. I look at it now. Miami, surprise. I think we're all surprised about Miami, okay? Buffalo, he plays Buffalo next this week. He plays Seattle again, which I think he'll go off. But then he has New England, the Rams, the Giants, Philly. Like, it's a bit concerning because you think of people that he goes against. He's going against Stephon Gilmore. He's going against Jalen Ramsey. He's going against James Bradbury. Like, those are the things that I'm thinking about. So...
yeah, for me, there's certain players that I don't really worry about their schedule because DeAndre Hopkins against any cornerback, I think he's got the upper hand.
Right. I don't
think
disagree.
DeAndre Hopkins is worried about James Bradbury. Right. No disrespect to Jalen Ramsey either. I don't think that DeAndre Hopkins is scared of facing Jalen Ramsey either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm not. Yeah. I think I'm talking for everyone because I agree. Like
totally.
DeAndre Hopkins is a set and forget type player. So
totally.
If you are concerned, I think these are the questions that people are kind of asking.
No, it's definitely a real question. For me, no, I'm not concerned.
Easy. Sounds good. That's about it. Christian Kirk, great flex. He's being consistent. I mean, I'm not confident in starting him. He's currently wide receiver 31. And if Drake is good to go, should I start him? I'm not really sure if I would start Kenny and Drake if he's good to go, but I doubt he will play this week. And I think we will probably talk a little bit more about him in depth when he's clear to start.
For sure. All right, let's go on to our next matchup. The 2-6 Chargers at the 5-3 Dolphins. Uh-oh.
Boy.
Oh, no.
Again?
Uh-oh.
Again?
Back to back? You telling me you're going to choose the Chargers back to back? Yes, this is our Week 10 upset of the week. We believe the Chargers have a chance to upset the 5-3 Dolphins. And let's just explain a little bit to our viewers as to why we believe that this is possible. I think, firstly, we do recognize that the Dolphins have an elite defense. And I don't want to say elite just yet. I think good is the right term. I think they have a good defense, right?
Yes.
It is a defense that you do need to be worried about. However, we saw last week, we chose the Chargers over the Raiders. Very close. Came down to the last 2 plays of the game. And honestly, I think that was more bad coaching than it was a bad call from us. Whatever, How on the last, you have 2 plays to get the ball into the end zone, and you're at the 3-yard line pretty much. You throw 2 fades to the right corner of the touchdown. The first one to Mike Williams, I get that. Maybe one of the best players in the game to do that.
Right.
But then you do it again to a 3rd-string tight end. How has Keenan Allen not been involved in any of those plans? Maybe you even have Justin Herbert look at a couple options. You've got so many opportunities to do slants. I'm getting way off topic here. But anyway, I feel like that was bad coaching from the Chargers' point of view.
Yeah.
But we see the talent.
Exactly.
We see the offensive ability.
Exactly.
And I want to remind people, Joey Bosa was out last week. And he is looking like he will play this week. You remember the guy they paid hundreds of millions of dollars to? There's a reason they paid him that much money. You want to get in on this? Why do we believe the Chargers are going to win this game?
I definitely believe that. I think, once again, the Chargers have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent, in the offense. They have a lot of talent in the defense. And I think this is a need to win game for the Chargers. And I know it sounds crazy, but I think they are still in position for some sort of playoff push.
They got to win a lot of games.
Exactly.
They have anywhere near the playoff push right now, but
they have to win a lot of games.
Like we've said, they're a better team than their record shows.
I think they can definitely have a wild card play. I personally, obviously, they have contenders with the Chiefs, and the Raiders right now, but I personally think, man, they're a great team, and I think you said a stat that they lost 4 or 5 games under 3 points. How many? There was some crazy stat like that.
The margin of their losses, of all 6 of their losses, is 24 total points. So if you obviously take 24 and you divide it by 6, quick math, that's 4 points a game. So every game, on average, they lose by just 4 points.
Right.
They are so close to the edge of being a really, really good team. Mm-hmm. And look, I think Tua played really, really well last week, but we've only seen one game where they really needed him to be that guy. So I love Tua. We love Tua. We think Tua's got a lot of talent, but there's obviously, he is a big factor in this call that this could be an upset of the week because can he do it again? Can he show it again? Consistency is key for us. We've always said that. Can Tua do it again?
Yeah. So
we do have the Chargers over the Dolphins in our upset of the week. Hopefully, Dolphins fans understand. We love you, Dolphins fans. We don't hate any team that we do an upset over. It's all love. There's no hate. Do not hate. Celebrate. Oh, let's go. Okay, let's talk about the Chargers. Obviously, Justin Herbert is a weekly start now. Keenan Allen, target monster. You're starting him. Hunter Henry, yes. You do need to start him because it is a high-powered offense. He should be started. But Mike Williams. Is Mike Williams a guy you are starting this week against this Dolphins defense?
I actually think he could be a great start this week. That's because I think they're going to game plan so hard on Keenan Allen. Justin Jackson is questionable right now to go up in there. Hunter Henry has kind of been, losing production. Someone has to step up here, and maybe Mike Williams is this guy. He had 7 targets last game. He had 13 plus fantasy points last game against the Raiders. So he's showing some sort of consistency. We just have to, maybe against Miami, this could be.
For sure. And I think you could be right about the whole Keenan Allen thing. Obviously, you're starting Keenan Allen, but they might have a game plan around him. Miami's actually 22nd against wide receivers in fantasy. So they're not actually in the top half defending wide receivers in fantasy, even though they have a really good defense. Let's talk about this running back situation, though. Justin Jackson will be out this week. So it looks like it's Josh Kelly and Troymaine Pope. Now,
is he actually out? Justin Jackson?
He will be out. Yep. Yeah. They're going to rest him.
I thought they just they're resting him for the week, so he's not practicing on the week. That's what I read.
He's not going to play this week from what we've heard.
Okay.
So that means Josh Kelly and Troymaine Pope will pretty much be the guys there. Do you feel confident starting any of these guys considering that situation?
Man, as much as I love Joshua Kelly, I can't. I think for this Miami defense, it's their front four. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know who's their front four on defense, but they're stopping everything.
Yeah.
So I'm not confident in Joshua Kelly. Joshua Kelly, I don't think is confident in himself right now, and neither is Anthony Lynn. So I'm not confident in Joshua Kelly. I think that's why Mike Williams is going to play a big factor in this game.
Yeah. And I just want to correct that report. Justin Jackson, this is the official report, okay?
Okay.
Lynn noted that he'll make a decision later in the week regarding whether Jackson will play Sunday against the Dolphins, but suggestions are that it doesn't sound promising.
Right. Okay.
Which means he most likely will not play.
That's what I remember, because I know he wasn't going to practice all week. That's all I knew. Yeah.
So I don't think you can really trust anyone in this backfield. Let's talk about the Dolphin side of the ball.
You're right. You're right.
Is there anyone you can start on this team? And no disrespect to the Dolphins at all.
No,
by the way.
absolutely not.
Dolphins are a great team, but for fantasy, there are questions everywhere.
Yeah.
Tua may be the only guy that you could consider streaming.
Yep. That's true. That's literally the only person I was going to say. Excuse me. The only person I'm going to say. I'm not starting anyone in the running backs. Not Matt Breida, Jordan Howard, whoever the case may be. Whoever else is in the running back. Preston Williams is on the IR. Devontae Parker is going to get shut down, I feel. Mike Gesicki has been absent. So it's really just Tua that you can potentially stream this week. Or if you are a Tua fan and you want to play him. But I don't recommend it. There's so many other people over Tua that you can be starting.
Yeah, it's man, Dolphins are a great team, but man, hard to start anyone right now. I wish my boy Myles Gaskin was back. DeAndre Washington will be available to play this week. So that's another thing as well, is like even if Matt Breida comes back, can you start anyone with confidence? You just can't.
No, you can't.
Because they traded for DeAndre Washington. Obviously, they have a role for him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have traded for him. So it's a hard pass on the backfield. Tua he would have been a Hail Mary if we had the Dolphins in a Hail Mary.
Absolutely. He would have been a Hail Mary, and he still is a Hail Mary. All right, on to the next one.
Tua.
Yeah, we love you, Tua. 4-5 49ers at the 6-2 Saints. Once again, this is an exciting game, and I know that sounds crazy because there's no one on this 49ers team that is exciting to start, but they just still have so much talent, and they're competing, which is interesting, with no one, with no big names. So obviously right now, I'm not starting anyone on the 49ers.
What do you mean, bro? You're not starting Richie James?
Nah, not
Put up
Richie
33
James.
points last week.
Yeah, he did great, but consistency is key. Once again, consistency. That has to be a slogan somewhere. We need to have that in the background. It needs to be somewhere. A little thing that comes in the bottom. Look, consistency is key. Richie James, I'm not starting, and also Brandon Ayuk. I think he's a great option to play this week because the Saints do give up a lot of points to wide receivers.
Yeah.
We just know, we're just not sure who's going to be the guy. I personally think it's Brandon Ayuk. You see him doing,
definitely.
I
agree.
They get him in with the RPOs. They do all these other options with swing passes, screens and stuff. They get him involved. So I think Brandon Ayuk could be this guy, and also Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed, I think could be a good start for you. Obviously, the Saints give up the 6th most fantasy points to tight ends. Sounds crazy, but I think it's can probably lean more on the questionable side. But look, for me, there's no one else I'm starting on this team. I'm not starting Jermichael Hastings. I'm not starting Jeff Wilson. I'm not starting any of these running backs, to be honest. I am not excited to start him. It's for me.
So you're
it's
not
Raheem
starting Jerick McKinnon?
No, I don't like to. I would not want to.
Okay.
You can't. You can't. You actually can't trust it.
I think if you had to choose, then you probably should start Jerick McKinnon.
Absolutely. If you had to choose and you had no one else on your team, Jerick McKinnon is the guy to start. But I'm not confident in telling you to start him. I'm not. Saints side of the ball. Look, I mean, it's obvious. Michael Thomas, you're starting. He didn't have the best game, but I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll find the end zone this week.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, you start him once again. Obviously, we're going to see how his production, goes. But I still think he still has the same production now that MT is on the field. But now
did we talk about Kamara last week? Actually, did we talk about him? I don't think we did.
Talk about
because
him.
I wanted to point something out about Alvin Kamara.
Okay, talk to me.
And Tommy, your boy Bricks Bockley, in our fantasy football league, actually asked me. He texted me about Kamara, just asking some questions. And I don't want to say Kamara's upside is capped because that's not true.
Right.
But I think this idea that some people might have in their head that Michael Thomas is back, this is going to open up lanes for Alvin Kamara. He's going to be better. He's going to be better than he was. I don't think that's true. I don't actually believe that Alvin Kamara will have a better second half of the season than he had the first half of the season.
Right.
And I want to make sure I say this on record. He's going to have a great second half of the season. It's going to be a great second half of the season. But I don't think we see another 44-point game. I don't think we see another 38-point game. I feel like what we saw last week is how talented this offense is. And I think a lot of those unnamed players get less work. And the guys like, your Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, they kind of get a little bit more consistent. But I think the receptions are taken a little bit away from Alvin Kamara. He's still going to get the 4 to 6 receptions a game,
right? But
he's not going to get these 10 receptions a game anymore. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
That's absolutely fair. And I think that's the concern with Alvin Kamara now that MT's back. There's so much talent on this team, number one. Look, I think he's going to lose some reps, but you're still not starting him. You're going to start him. You know?
Absolutely. And to be clear, he's still a top 3 running back in fantasy. I just want to bring down the...
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
MT affects it, MT and Kamara affect it. If Kamara was out, it affects MT, and then vice versa. The same thing that happened with Kamara, and I think in turn, great segue to that. Jared Cook is also affected by that. I think his value drops significantly now that MT is there. We saw him get targeted a couple times. He got targeted in the end zone. It should have been a touchdown potentially. He was trying to reach the ball out to break the plane. He fumbled it. That was huge. That really determined that whole game because he wasn't in the game for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Also,
don't drop him though. Don't drop him. Tight ends are so volatile. He needs to be on. He needs to be rostered in every league.
Absolutely,
unless you're in an 8-man league.
Absolutely. And Emmanuel Sanders, for me, he's just not startable now that MT is there. And it's crazy. It's crazy to say because Drew Brees spread the ball around last game like crazy. And I think a lot of people question and wonder, like, are any of these guys relevant now? They are. Like those guys that scored last week, they probably won't score again.
Yeah. No.
You can go ahead.
I agree. You ended that so abruptly. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. No, I love it. And I definitely agree. I think what we have to keep in mind, which I said on the pod earlier this week, guys, the Saints were up 31-0 at halftime.
Exactly.
Are you really going to force feed Michael Thomas when you're up 31-0 coming off an injury?
Mm-mm.
Of course the ball was going to be spread around. Just don't stress about it. Don't stress about it too much. I want to ask you one last question, actually, because someone sent me a trade offer. Would you rather have Michael Thomas or Julio Jones rest of season?
Julio Jones.
You would rather have Julio Jones, really?
Yeah, that sounds crazy, but I would rather have Julio Jones.
Do you think there's maybe recency bias in that thought process? Are you maybe... I'm just asking, is there any part of you that may have forgotten Michael Thomas?
No.
As a player?
There's no part of me that has forgotten MT. I think Julio finds the end zone more. A little bit more.
Well, that's not true. That's not been true his whole career.
For MT. Against MT.
Michael Thomas has found the end zone more than...
No, yeah, I'm not talking about his career. I'm just talking about, in the span of this season. Obviously, he's on the end zone
Well,
more
then
because
there is
he played.
recency bias.
Not necessarily, because I think I would just rather have.
I'm actually
Julio
really
Jones.
curious to hear from people.
I think
I would really love to see. I want to put up a poll actually on our Instagram story.
I just think that
Julio Jones or Michael Thomas rest of the season. I'm genuinely very curious.
Yeah, I look at the Saints. I actually look at the whole team. So I want to look at MT. I see that they can run the ball with Alvin Kamara. If it's a run game, if the run is going, Alvin Kamara is going to see the ball. And I'm not saying MT is not going to see the ball, but I'm saying if Alvin Kamara is hot, MT can be affected. Where right now in the Falcons, there ain't nobody being hot on the running back game. So it's either going to be Julio or Calvin, and it's both of them most of the time that's going to get these targets. Okay. So that's my thought process.
Okay, I get you. Interesting. Would love to hear people's thoughts on that. Please comment or make sure you head to our Instagram poll to vote.
Send me a trade for
Every
MT.
vote counts. What?
Send me a trade offer.
I
like MT. I like Julio. Whatever.
That's how we analyze stuff. Yeah, whatever. All right, the last key matchup is the 6-2 Ravens at the 3-5 Patriots. Sunday night football. This is so strange to say the Ravens are 6-2 because we talk so much trash on them. And I think that they are a good team, but they're a good team in a different way this year, right? It's very, and this is going to be weird to say, and maybe it's completely inaccurate, but it makes me think about the early 2000s Ravens, who really leaned on the defense.
The defense, exactly.
And the offense kind of just got them through. They kind of just managed the game. And that's crazy to say because Lamar Jackson is on the other side of the ball there. Lamar Jackson, he was a trade-away target this week for me, but he's still a must start. You have to start Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. At any point, things could click, okay? At any point, things could click and he could pop off for a 30 or 40-point game. He's got to be in your starting lineup. Mark Andrews, I see you want to say something about that, so go ahead.
Oh, no.
Lamar Jackson, you want to say something?
I think the Raven as a whole, and it sounds like I'm hating on the Ravens. I'm not hating on the Ravens. This is my prediction. They're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be the first team to be eliminated from the playoffs.
Okay.
They can't beat a playoff contender team this year.
All right.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure Luke Rogers is going to love that.
Sorry.
All right. Sorry, Luke. All right. Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Man, just
terrible.
Mark Andrews. Honestly, I try to find words.
That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful to perform like that.
Mark Andrews, from where you drafted him, wow. It's just been below disgusting, if we're honest. He's currently the tight end 8, but if he doesn't score a touchdown, he typically loses you your week, finishing anywhere with 4 to 6 points. You have to start him, though, right?
Yeah, you have to start him.
You do have to start him.
And that's the frustrating part. He can't get the ball out of his hands. It's Lamar. I think he can't get the ball out of his hands. He tends to run more than he throws now. I mean, Mark Andrews hasn't been targeted that much, has he? What's his targets look like?
No, it's not been many targets. I mean, I guess what we have to consider is that there's not many targets to go around in this offense anyway.
Exactly. He should be the only one that's getting targets.
New England is currently the best defense against tight ends. You have to start him because of the upside.
Yes.
But you're not happy when you do it. Mm-hmm. People that you are not starting, in my opinion, include Hollywood Brown or anyone in this running back by committee situation. Right. I don't feel confident starting JK. I don't feel confident starting Gus or Mark Ingram because I just don't know who's going to get the work. And I don't know if there is any upside there. Is that fair to say?
No, you're right. I personally think that for some reason, I'm having a couple feelings this week, and I don't know why.
Okay.
Mark Ingram is going to come back, and he's going to take over this role like he did before, and he's going to be like, I'm the best running back in this room, and this is why I'm here. And maybe he won't do it against this team, but even when Mark Ingram was on the field, he wasn't splitting the carries as significant as J.K. and Gus has been splitting carries.
Yeah,
they want to use him. They want to use Mark Ingram. I think Mark Ingram will be used. He just hasn't been efficient. So maybe it's this game, maybe it's next week's game. But I think he can. Mark Ingram can come back and make a difference.
Okay. Patriots side of the ball. This is a very different Patriots team than we are used to seeing.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you have to start on this team? I know Jacoby Myers went off last week, but I'm not really starting him with any confidence against this Baltimore defense. There's probably no one that you could start with confidence.
There's no one on this team that you can start with confidence. None actually.
Yeah.
None whatsoever.
Not starting Cam Newton against this defense.
No.
I don't want to have any part of that running back by committee. It's very bleak in New England for fantasy perspectives.
Yeah, I agree. This sucks for New England, but I personally, man, to say that the Jets almost beat the New England Patriots.
Yeah, crazy. I feel like maybe the Patriots should be looking towards a full rebuild. And what does that really mean for a Bill Belichick? Does Bill want to stay around? Does he want to retire? Does he want to keep coaching? What's the next step for Bill Belichick? Because what options are there for this team other than a complete rebuild, considering the fact that they've pretty much given up most of their valuable assets? And what's been this team's identity in the offseason?
Mm-hmm.
Mostly making trades and giving up draft picks.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time to hit the reset button in New England.
Yeah, I think I think I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that it's going to come to a point where the Patriots need to think about what's the next step. And it sounds crazy, like it sounds crazy to say that Bill Belichick is one of the best, coaches around. But if there's anyone that's going to be step up to this role, it has to be Josh McDaniels, I think. I think that's the future in my mind.
Definitely a off-season storyline to follow. Where will Cam go? That's interesting. I don't know that he resigns. But that is all for our matchups. Time to give you some Hail Mary matchups for Week 10.
Back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin quarter mile.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountains?
All right, Hail Mary matchups of the week.
Get Uncle Rico in.
Uncle Rico.
Get him on a team.
No, Napoleon. What a great movie. All right, what is a Hail Mary matchup? Can you bring me my chopstick? Sorry, I'm just thinking of all the lines now. I'm chatting to babes all day. Okay, stay on topic here. Hail Mary matchups. What is a Hail Mary matchup? Well, what is a Hail Mary? Basically, you throw up a prayer and see what comes down. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to do that with bye weeks and injuries. All things considered, we're going to take the rest of the matchups for this week, and we're going to find one player we like, one matchup that we like as a Hail Mary matchup. Could be a big-time payoff, but could also be a massive risk. So we're going to take 30 seconds on the clock each. Rapid fire, go back and forth with the rest of these matchups. Badaki, start us off with our first Hail Mary matchup.
Say no more. 2-6 Washington football team at the 3-5 Lions. Look, for me, it has to be Logan Thomas. He's the tight end here. I think it's going to be a tight end day. I think he can finish in the top 5 personally, and that sounds crazy because he's my Hail Mary. But the Lions gave up 2 touchdowns to Irvin Smith last week. I think Logan Thomas can do that, and they give up the 12th most fantasy points to tight ends. The Lions do. So Logan Thomas is my Hail Mary.
I like it. The 6-3 Bucks at the 3-6 Panthers. My one player is Teddy Bridgewater. Gotta love Teddy. Gotta love rooting for Teddy. Look, we saw what happened to this Tampa Bay defense last week. But I would like to advocate that might be a bad thing for Teddy Bridgewater, okay? However, there's a possibility for Teddy to exploit this defense I think it's a big risk. It's the definition of a Hail Mary.
Yep.
I think Tampa Bay comes out angry, and they want to show people that they're angry. But there's a possibility that Teddy could be a good streamer. Throw up the Hail Mary and see what happens.
Say no more. Alan Lazard, the 1-7 Jacksonville Jaguars at the 6-2 Packers. Look, hopefully he's back. Hopefully he's back this week, and that's why he's a Hail Mary. If he's cleared to play and he comes off of IR, I think this could be a good Hail Mary matchup. You know, if you saw that games against the 49ers on Thursday night, those 2 touchdowns to MVS should have been Alan Lazard. You know, go look at MVS's points. Put Alan Lazard name in it. Stay tuned to see if he does play. Alan Lazard is my Hail Mary play for this team.
I like it. The 3-5 Broncos at the 5-3 Raiders. My one player is Nelson Agholor. He's had 4 touchdowns in his last 5 games, and Denver is currently the 25th worst defense against wide receivers. He could catch a touchdown in any game. I think he's a decent Hail Mary, a decent flex this week, and I like it.
6-2 Seattle Seahawks at the 5-3 Rams. Honestly, what a game. This is going to be a great game. You should watch this game. But the one player I'm starting in my Hail Mary position here is Josh Reynolds. Look, the Seattle Seahawks for the LA Rams, mind you. Josh Reynolds is going against the Seattle defense, and they give up the most points to wide receivers. So honestly, I think everyone on this team, the wide receivers team, the Rams team, can score a touchdown. So I personally...
That might be the most Hail Mary I've ever seen.
Honestly.
But I like it. Okay. The 2-5-1 Bengals at the 8-0 Steelers. My one player is AJ Green. AJ Green's a Hail Mary. Yes, unfortunately, he is a Hail Mary. What a roller coaster of emotions this year. However, the one thing we can hold on to is the targets. The targets have been there. This offense has needed to throw more than almost any offense. Joe Burrow might have the most passing yards out of anyone in the league as a rookie.
Wow.
So look, the Steelers haven't been great against wide receiver, currently 21st worst against wide receivers. AJ Green, he's really, again, the definition of a Hail Mary. Could have a great game, but could give you nothing.
That's right.
Throw up a Hail Mary and see what comes down. Those are our Hail Mary matchups of the week. Hey, did we miss a player that you want to ask a question about? Well, every Saturday, we go live, okay? We go live and we answer start-sit questions. This week, I believe we are going live on YouTube. Right, Padaki?
Yep. If everything checks out, it's going to be YouTube. We'll
right.
Keep you updated.
We are going to post about that on Saturday morning. It will be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Join us live and ask us any questions. It was really fun last time to be able to talk to everyone, to see everyone's users and everyone's questions. And we probably answered almost 200 questions. Within the span of 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
So join us for about an hour. We'd love to chat with you. Love to answer your start-sit questions. And if you haven't followed us on YouTube, if you haven't subbed on YouTube, make sure you do that because that's probably where we are going to be going live. Don't miss our next episode, Straight Cash and Just Trash from Week 10 performances.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to give you Monday Night Football Madness, Vikings at Bears. We're going to tell you who was cash, who was trash from the week, and we're also going to break down Monday Night Football.
That's right.
But this is a big week.
Huge.
So big luck to you. Hopefully blessings to your teams. No injuries.
That's right. No injuries. A lot of fantasy points.
Only good vibes from here from the Fantasyland fam.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get the dubs that you need this week. Any
I'm
wild
pumped.
predictions this week before we close the podcast off?
Wild predictions? Yes, I actually do have a wild prediction, which is crazy. Okay. Where is the team? I'm just looking at the matchups. Give me 1 second. Sorry. I personally think that the Patriots are going to beat the Ravens.
Really? Okay.
It sounds crazy, but yeah, I think so. It's Bill Belichick. We had to remember Bill Belichick is the head coach for this team. He's been in this position so many times. Yeah.
Okay. I like it. All right, guys. Have a great Thursday. We will see you on Saturday on the live. Do not miss it. We will announce it on our Instagram and on our Twitter, but we'd love to see you on YouTube live in the chats. Will be really fun to have you there.
Yeah.
Have a great Thursday night. Thursday Night Football. Get the dubs. We will see you next week. All love. See you there.
See you there.
Hey, yeah, you, the one listening to this podcast, you made a good decision today. Keep making those good decisions. You know what? Go ahead and do a little dance right now, like no one's watching. 'Cause you deserve it.